What is completely harmless, but also terrifying as F*******. Any insects that jump. I got 2 words for you. Camel. Crickets. My parents' house's basement is infested with camel crickets. I prefer not to go down there. Seaweed touching your foot at the beach. I had a fish swim between my thighs once. It was so freaky. That made me laugh and shudder at the same time. The fish in the lake at my summer camp would occasionally nibble on your nipples. And where is this lake? So I can definitely avoid it. Avoid, yeah, sure, buddy. Sleep paralysis. I don't know if it's completely harmless, but I used to experience it, and I wasn't harmed. Just terrified. Yep. Came here to say this. First time it happened, it was terrifying. Happened in college. Could hear my roommates in the other room watching TV, but I couldn't move or anything. Now it's happened enough that it doesn't really scare me, just annoys me. Sleep paralysis happens to everyone. It's a miscommunication in the brain, where one part of the brain is in awake mode and the part that sends signals to your muscles is in sleep mode. Fun fact, depending on where you are brought up, your sleep paralysis monster is different. In the UK it's usually someone sat still at the bottom of your bed or somewhere in the room, whereas in the US it's more likely something approaching you to attack you. People who have extensive doll collections. Every nook and cranny there's a doll staring at you. I do not like being in their house at all. Said Harmless. After your soul is sucked into one of the dolls, you will find yourself immune to harm for all eternity. Thinking about the future. Yay. Lately I've been thinking about when will be the next major impact from a large meteor or comet happens. Not if, but when, and why we aren't working towards a defense for it. We can, but it doesn't seem to be a priority. Astronomer here. The interesting thing about this is, honestly, we have done a great job finding the big planet destroying stuff out there. Of course you can always have a comet that comes in from the Oort cloud and smashes into us out of freak chance, but frankly the odds of that are minimal too. Say, the very real effects of climate change we are already beginning to experience and will affect more people than, say, a Tunguska blast sized event would. That said, if you really want to go down this rabbit hole, there's a really great sci-fi trilogy out there called The Last Policeman. Well, the first one is called that, by Ben Winters. It follows a policeman in Concord, New Hampshire in a world where a destroy the dinosaurs size of asteroid has been discovered that will hit Earth in 6 months, and I can verify the science of it all, and how it would play out is completely accurate. My only criticism was I had to take it out of my read before bed rotation, because I couldn't sleep after getting too into it. Had a big 100+ pounds German Shepherd when I was younger. Terrifying if you didn't know him, but he was a giant teddy bear who would sulk behind furniture if he thought you didn't like him or were being mean. AWW, poor boy. I had a female Rottweiler who was a big old tank, but loved to cuddle and adored little kids. Weighed about 130, and it took a bit of getting used to when walking her, especially if she got excited. No way you're holding that beast back. She never hurt anyone though, even though it looked like we had a black bear on a leash, lol. Public speaking. I had, and still have, a stutter which firmly determined what I did and did not want to do while growing up. I always dreaded public speaking, but I still did it despite apprehension and people laughing at me. One minor act by a friend, who I doubt remembers it, still helps me 30 years later. Now that I'm much older, I've been in numerous positions where I have to talk in front of groups, and refusing to do so just isn't an option. I still dislike it, and will avoid it when I can, but public speaking isn't something you can hide from forever. Even if it isn't in a formal I'm giving a speech setting, you're still most likely going to do a lot of it your entire life. Needles. Just can't get over them. I know it only hurts for a secretary and is probably in my best interest. I'm much the same. I'm absolutely phobic, even though I know they don't really hurt that much and are doing me good. There've been times I've passed out and even thrown up from psycheing myself up about them too much. I was the same way, and then I became a pharmacy tech who specializes in making fourths, because I really didn't have a choice. I worked there for several months and only nicked myself once, when I was making a epidural. I still don't like them, but handling them for 10 hours a day you get kinda used to them. The only time I was super repulsed by them was when another tech told me one time she stabbed herself so hard it went through 2 fingers sideways and started into her 3rd finger. Talking to my crush, I guess. I'm just terrified of saying something dumb or inappropriate. I feel the same, and I understand. Just know that as a person, I'm always relieved when someone else is just themselves, and occasionally is goofy, or says the wrong thing, or is confused, because it opens the door for me to do the same. Maybe he's nervous around you too. Furries. Honestly, in my head I think it's weird, but also I feel bad for judging like that. It's the same logic that some people use to defend LGBT+ communities. If it brings someone happiness and doesn't hurt anybody else beyond just not getting it, there's no reason to stigmatize it. If you do, it'll probably cause more problems than it'll solve. I just wish there weren't so many bad examples in the furry community at the same time. Snails and slugs. This is not my fear, but I inadvertently traumatized my then 4-year-old sister with an Animal Planet documentary of snails making love, and the harshly cut footage of them all close up and slimy and gross made her lose her mind. As a 14-year-old now, she literally tears up and gags at the sight of them. I can empathize though. The zoom in of a butterfly from that one SpongeBob episode had me terrified as a kid for a while. Koala bears are scary as sh*t. These things are the cutest little animals until they make any noise or get angry. Once I was at a zoo and my dad took me to the koala exhibit. I, 9 at the time, thought this was the cutest thing until it spotted me. I guess it wasn't a people koala or something, because as soon as it saw me, it jumped for the glass, almost shattering it. Thank God the zoo knew they were vicious, because I cold died LMAOTL. Doctor, I hate koalas. This is more personal, but spider webs. I have a phobia of them. Even like a single long strand just freaks me out for some reason. I can't really explain it. I will scream like a little girl if I run into a big cobweb. Thankfully I've only ever had that happen once, and I still get shivers thinking about it, and it was like 25 years ago. I also had a couple ridiculously close calls with somewhere I saw it just in time, and I was going to go right into it. It's really weird, because I can't explain why I'm scared of them, it just triggers me in some odd way. It's kinda like how some people have weird phobias of things like pickles. Funny thing is, I ended up buying a house that was practically infested with spiders. I spent a lot of time cleaning up all the spider webs with the shop vac in the basement and crawl space. The underside of docks or anything wet and moldy and falling apart, like crumbling shower tiles and sinking slabs. I have no idea if there's a name for it, but it's a completely insane fear/worry of mine. I'm constantly having nightmares or fears of my shower tiles falling off or sinking into the ground. It's completely bizarre, I know. Bees don't really sting on sight, but they still scare the shit out of me. I do hate wasps and hornets though. One time I was at my neighbor's door, and when I looked up there was a wasp nest with about 30 of them. I cussed out my neighbor so hard, to say the least. I don't know if it's just me, but grasshoppers can be terrifying, especially in large quantities, or when you don't expect them to be where they are. My cousin found several in a Sprite can. Acanthamoeba. It's found everywhere in water and soil, but get infected with it and it's horrible. I never heard of Acanthamoeba keratitis until I had a coworker experience it. She made the mistake of rinsing her contact with tap water. Initially her doctor thought she had pink eye until it progressively got worse. She eventually needed a cornea transplant, and she showed me how she had stitches in her eye. She could feel them every time she blinked. She takes medicine every day now to keep her eye from rejecting her cornea. We sometimes get these black snakes in our yard. I'm not sure of the species, but they aren't all that big, maybe 3 to 4 feet long, and clearly not venomous. I know they are harmless to humans and actually beneficial as they eat mice and bugs, but that doesn't keep my fight or flight reflex from going into overdrive when I see one. Balloons. Only the rubber ones though. They are nice to look at from a distance, but they give me so much anxiety. It's okay if it's used as decoration, but once children swing it back and forth, or when they rub it so much that it starts making squeaking sounds, that's when I can't even look at them. Phantasma here, hope you enjoyed, don't forget to sub for more.